Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 301. Don't write what you think people want to read. Find your voice and write about what's in your heart. Quentin Tarantino.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, my Indie Film Hustlers, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Today's show is sponsored by Blackbox. Blackbox is a new platform and community that is all about financial freedom for filmmakers like you. If you join Blackbox, you will be transformed from being a worker to being a maker of your own content. And you'll be making steady passive income from the global market. Blackbox currently allows you to upload your stock footage once, get it to many global agencies, and then allows you to share that passive income stream with your collaborators. Whether you want to submit old footage that's been sitting around in your hard drives or create brand new content, Blackbox is for you. It's really quite revolutionary. With Blackbox, filmmakers can concentrate on making great content while Blackbox takes care of all the business BS. Just visit www.blackbox.global to find out more. And today's show is also sponsored by Indie Film Hustle TV, the world's first streaming service dedicated to filmmakers, screenwriters, and content creators. If you want access to filmmaking documentaries, feature films about filmmaking, interviews with some of the top screenwriters and filmmakers in Hollywood, as well as educational online courses all in one place, IFH TV is for you. Just head over to indiefilmhustle.tv. So guys, you're in for a treat. Today we have on the show director, entrepreneur, and YouTube sensation, Jakob Owens. Jakob has been able to build an amazing company around himself as a director, and he just envelops what Indie Film Hustle is about, and also just a lot of the things I talk about on how to build a brand, how to build a company, leveraging that brand and company to be able to get gigs as a director. And that's what he's done, man, from literally from the ground up, coming from Arizona and not, living in the big Hollywood hills or anything like that. Just really hustling, man. And he's such a great story. And he came across my path a few months ago, and I just, we had a mutual friend that connected us, and I was like, hey, I got to have you on the show, Jakob, so you can drop some major knowledge bombs on the tribe and kind of show you guys how he did it, how he was able to build up an over 100,000 following on Instagram, how he's become the number one member of Unsplash.com by just giving away amazing images of himself and what he does as, again, a way of promoting himself. How he's been able to build up almost 800,000 followers on YouTube by creating value for that community, creating value for filmmakers, and how he does it with shooting music videos, shooting short films and things like that. And how he's able to leverage all of these things into an actual business, how he's actually able to make money doing what he loves. He's created ancillary products, other things like that he sells, as well as LUTs and courses and all sorts of other things, as well as a production company that does a lot of music videos every year and so on. There's just so much stuff that he does. So I'm really, really happy to have him on the show. And this conversation was fairly epic. So please enjoy my conversation with Jakob Owens. I'd like to welcome to the show Jakob Owens, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We have some technical issues, but we are back. We're going to give this one a shot. So thank you, man. Thank you for hanging in there and dropping.
That's what happens, right? That's what happens on set. You'll think you'll record and it doesn't, or sound goes off, or like talent's late to set, and nothing ever goes as planned. Like, you always got to be ready to on the fly adjust. So that's life,
dude. I mean, and it's just you and me on a Skype call. I can only imagine when there's thousands of dollars running through them every minute that goes by.
Oh, I know, absolutely.
So how did you get into the business, man? Like I said early in our early recording, you are one of the most predominantly great self promoters out there, and you know how to get yourself out there. So I wanted to have you on the show to kind of hopefully teach filmmakers a bit about promoting yourself, getting out there, and also the business side of what you do. So first and foremost, how did you get into the film business?
Yeah, so I mean, I got into the film business by kind of a stroke of luck, but I also just I just love to to make videos. And, ever since I was a kid, I was always picking up my parents' Sony or Canon high 8 tape camcorder. And I was always running around the neighborhood in my house with my little brother, mainly, but all our friends. And we were making like little monster movies and our own little Sports Center highlight reels. And like, we'd go outside and film us dunking, and do like our own dunk contest and raise up scores and film. Like, we were just always, I was shooting and making like videos to everything, and like, and that was back when you had to like, if you messed up, you stopped it, and then you like, hit rewind on the tape, and play and wait for that moment of like, okay, stop, and then all right, now pull it. So it's like
editing in camera. Those were the days. Did you ever do 2 VCRs?
No,
because you're much younger than me. That's why.
Yeah,
and now I've completely aged myself. Let's continue.
No, I just always liked doing it. It was always fun. And then in high school, that's right around like when I got like a PC and Windows Movie Maker came along, and I figured out how you could like, our family now had like a little digital camera, and I figured out how you could like take it and put it in a computer and like start like actually editing it in the computer. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And so literally, at my high school, the football team, I was an athlete, and I didn't play football, but I was friends with a lot of the football players, and they knew I made videos and liked to make videos. So they're like, yo, make us like a Under Armour commercial for the pep rally, because it was like the big first game of the year. And so we made this horrible Under Armour commercial.
How did you, hold on, just stop for a second. The Under Armour commercial, how, you didn't edit it, right? Oh, did you edit in Windows Player? Or
yeah, in Windows Movie Maker. Yeah,
okay, because I was going to say, did you do that in camera? Because that must have been a pain.
No. It was that. This is when I figured out how to get digital now.
Okay, good.
But yeah, no, we put it together and we played it at the pep rally, and it was what was cool about it. It was the first video that ever played at a school pep rally, like in the school's history. So that was like, that's a cool little milestone in and of itself. But after the video played, literally like the whole day throughout school, in the halls or classroom, like I had like students or teachers coming up to me who were like, that was so cool. That was so amazing. Like you should make videos. Like you should make videos for your job. And that was kind of like my aha moment of like, I always like to do it, but this is what I want to do with my life. You know what I mean? And so went to film school at ASU, and when I think it was my sophomore, junior year there, I just now picked up, it's still taped at this point. It was a Canon HV30 little mini like DV tape, and was shooting some videos and in film school, and at the time my buddy was like, hey, you're in film school, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you want to make a music video? Because he was an artist, went to high school with him. I was like, yeah, sure. And so I borrowed my buddy's T2i, because the T2i was just like fresh on the scene. And I remember when he brought it over to my house before we shot the video, and we like pulled it up and we were looking at it. I just remember thinking this was the crispiest, most HD footage ever. I was tripping out. I was like, bro, this is crazy, because I was so used to these tapes and stuff. And so we shot the video on the T2i, and that was right when I started my YouTube channel, the BuffNerds. I created that and I put that video on there, and all of a sudden I started getting hit up by like a bunch of local AZ artists. Yo, you do music videos? How much you charge? And I was like, oh yeah. And so just started shooting all these local music videos while I was in college. And then artists started reaching out to me from California. I was reaching out, to artists like, hey, I can shoot your videos. Here's videos I've done. I just kind of fell into that like YouTube music video scene. I saw it as like a way to kind of like come up, kind of an entry point for myself. And it was just cool to work with these independent artists, grow my talents, and I just ended up growing a big following and just kind of working my way into the industry through like music videos. And then, here's probably 7-8 years later, got a bunch of stuff going on, and I've done all sorts of different projects from, TV shows, music videos, commercials, all, now YouTube, got my own filmmaking product company. Like I just do a ton of stuff. But that was kind of like how I got into everything, was just T2i music videos on YouTube. That was my entry point there.
That's insane, man. That's insane. And it's fascinating to hear that story, how you've been able to do this. Cause how old are you?
About 28. next month I'll be 29.
Jesus Christ, man. I wish I was 28 again. But enjoy. It does go fast, brother.
Yeah, it already is going fast. Like, I'm already close to 30. What?
Yeah.
So,
and just on a side note, is your body feel the same as it did when it was 18?
Hell no. Not at all. Like, and I'm still relatively young.
You're in good shape, dude. You're in great shape.
Yeah,
But
29, and I still feel in great shape. And when I go work, but like I'll wake up and I'm like, damn, like why am I so? I feel like I'm 50 right now. Like, no, it's funny. It goes quick.
And that's that you actually are taking care of yourself. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Right, if you're not.
Like my chunky ass back in the day. I was just like, whoa, because 18, dude, you're just like, let's do this. And I love your shirt. For people who are not watching this, I love your shirt. It says, make handheld great again.
Right.
So I want to talk to you at 40 and see if you're still wearing that shirt.
I know. No, definitely not. I already feel it. Like I did a TV show earlier this year, and the whole, like I wanted to make it a mission that the whole way through, it was like a documentary TV show, and I want to go handheld, tripod or whatever on everything. I didn't want like stabilizers and easy rigs and all that stuff. And bro, it wore me down. 3 months of like, 4 days a week shooting with, anamorphic lenses, red and stuff. I'll friggin' it'll wear you down. So no, I probably won't be wearing this shirt even 5 years from now.
But for right now, enjoy it while you can, brother. So you got your start in music videos. Is there something about that format, that kind of platform that you like as a director? Because you've done probably more music videos than anything else, right?
For sure. Sure.
What is it about as a director do you love so much about music videos?
The reason I love it, especially for me, I have such a short creative attention span. Like even when I was a kid, right? Like I was making board, like if you go back through my closet, I have multiple board games that I created, laminated. I designed my own golf course. I designed my own shoe line, like a fully drawn, painted out. I made a local magazine for neighborhood kids because we'd play wiffle ball, and I'd keep the statistics and write articles on the kids. Like I was always creating and doing something. And I think that's why I like music videos, or kind of what drew me to music videos first off, and just why probably the projects I enjoy the most is because like it's always something new. It's always something creative and different, and you kind of get to flex those creative juices a lot more frequently than, some of these other long form projects that take up way more time or attention spans, and you kind of got to focus on solely one thing over an extended period of time. But music videos, it's just like always flashy, fun, fast. Here you do a project here, then boom, next day you're working on this one over here, and working with a bunch of different artists and just all different kinds. I don't know, it's fun. I think it's kind of probably one of the most fun things for me, just because again all that the creativity and how quickly things move and change and new projects and stuff.
And you can and it's basically creatively you can do whatever the heck you want anytime you want. There's no real rules, and
you don't have to worry about audio, so it's like
there's no slate. Yeah, unless you're doing like some cinematic, inserts.
Right. But no, not having it because I remember I was doing music videos for so long, and then I went to do my first short film, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to freaking try and capture audio, because it's, but I don't know. Just, it was kind of the fun thing for me to do.
Now you also do a lot of oneers. That's kind of like a bunch of that. Again, talk to me when you're 40. But right. But on your channel, you do a lot of oneers. And for the audience who's not listening, a oneer is basically the entire music video in one shot, meaning you never cuts. I know I've done some oneers. They're extremely creative because you've got to figure things out. And everyone thinks, 3 minutes, you're done. It's a short day. I'm like, nah, dude, it's not that simple.
Tough. It's tough because one little thing goes wrong, like one person misses their marks as the camera rotates this way and focus buzzes and goes out, and they don't hit, boom, reset. Like I know the music videos are probably a little easier, but in the sense of oneers compared to short films or whatever, because I've done a couple short films that are just solid one takes, And on both, it's funny, I don't know how it happened, but on both of them, it took exactly 14 tries, which was crazy because one of them took 14 tries, and then we shot one like 2 weeks later, and that one was 14 tries. And it was like, what? Like, it just happened to work out that way. And it wasn't like I was like, oh, that was the 14th one. Yeah, let's stop it there because the other one, and, like, it just happened. But it was crazy because every little thing from on the Steadicam when, we'd come in and we were rehearsing blocking for hours and all this stuff. And the camera at one point is like focused on the girl, and the guy says something off camera and she steps into frame kind of joltingly. And so the camera has to swing on her shoulder and then pull focus and nail it on him across the other side of the car at a 2.8. And like, you could be going through the whole short, and you get to that moment and you turn and whip, and it's just like super soft, and then it takes a minute to find it, but reset. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to go again. So oneers are no joke, and I just, they're fun, they're challenging, and when you can really do it well, it's almost like live theater playing out. Like, it's just because everything's got to be so in sync and unison, and the actors, they can't miss their lines, they're hitting their lines. So it's just like, I don't know, there's something cool about it that I just really like, but they're not easy. I don't like them because they're, easy to do. They're not. I don't know. I just like how they look. You know what I mean?
And you're handheld. A lot of times you're hand holding, or you're using steady or some stabilizer.
If I do a oneer, it's usually going to be Steadicam. But I've done a few where it's handheld. But like even there's those. I just love the tension they bring out in like a story or the shots. Like there was this new show on Netflix that just came out, Haunting on Hill House.
I heard about it.
Yeah, and I think it's like episode 6 or 7, late in the season, and there's like, I feel like it's like a 20-minute oneer, and it's so like the tension and the way, I was just like mind blown. Like I was just sitting there going, wow, for all the lighting changes to the actors and their remarks. And it wasn't one of those things where they like go dark and then it's like, oh, that was a stitch. Like it was solid all the way through.
That's
and
insane.
I don't know. They're just so cool to me.
I'm assuming you like Birdman.
It's funny. I've never seen
Dude,
Birdman.
Come on.
I've had so many people be like, bro, then you like, do you find inspiration from Birdman or this and that? Like, bro, I've never seen Birdman.
You've so got to watch Birdman.
I definitely need to.
That when I watched that movie, it was like the first time it had been a while since I watched a really insanely good movie. And I was like, oh, that's what a director is. You forget, like, it's not right. Generic. It's like this guy had a vision and he nailed it. And I was like watching it. And then only like halfway through the movie, I'm like, wait a minute. A lot of this seems, he did Stitch, but but he's going 20 minutes at a time. He's going 50 minutes at a time. It's insane what he did. Now, you are arguably one of the best self-promoting filmmakers I've seen online, from your work on Unsplash to your YouTube channel, to your Instagram, to all the things you do. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on was so you could help filmmakers understand the importance of marketing themselves and of their projects. So what tips do you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, as a filmmaker, it's like, you're a freelancer or a filmmaker, like you gotta find work, you know what I mean? Especially I think in a day and age where more and more people are getting access to cameras and becoming filmmakers or videographers or content creators or whatever, like you need to stand out and be creative about how you get yourself in front of people's eyes. And that's like marketing, and like marketing yourself. Like you have to do things, whether it's you physically like emailing people every day or like reaching out to people or manually doing it or doing it in creative ways on like Instagram, YouTube or whatever to have people stumble across you. Like you have to like take action, especially with, like I said today, and creating a brand for yourself is super important. Creating that kind of visual brand that people like can connect to. That's more than just like your name. You know what I mean? I think that's why BuffNerds like has always been such a unique thing. Is like on my YouTube channel. It was my YouTube channel, became my production company. People know me as the Buff Nerd. Like I'll be called out in public as the Buff Nerd. Like people know a lot of the artists that were on that YouTube channel as like starting out on the Buff Nerds, and like people were like, "Yo, you should make it a music label." But like the brand like helped me, promote and market myself, and also think creatively about like content. When I'm putting out there for Instagram. For like, I'm BuffNerds, right? So Instagram, BuffNerds Media. Like if I'm going to think, okay, let me take two giant reds with huge lenses and curl them and like, you know, put it on Instagram and like, this is how real filmmakers train, BuffNerds Media. Like, that's a creative way to like get yourself out there. People are going to laugh. They're going to tag their friends. They're going to share it, you know, all those things. So you got to be able to think creatively in that sense of like, okay, you know, but having a brand can also help do that a lot. So rather than just like your name, I mean, that same content would have worked with just my name, but being known as the Buff Nerd and the production company BuffNerds Media, it's just kind of all fits in together. And yeah, I don't know, marketing yourself, you know, especially in today's world, is just super important. You gotta get your work and your name out in front of people's eyes, because there's so many people now. You know what I mean?
My God! I mean, when I was coming up in the '90s and in the early 2000s, it was not nearly as competitive as it is now.
Right.
And now everybody, because now it's cool. Ever since Quentin Tarantino showed up. When Quentin Tarantino showed up and all of a sudden it said, oh, you can be a rock star director. He was the first rock star director, where he was like, he made directing super cool. There was Scorsese and there was Spielberg, but he made it look cool.
Right.
And then from that point on, things changed. Now everyone's like, I want to be a cool director. And it becomes like, you're like almost like an actor.
Right. No, 100%.
And getting that press, right? And now with YouTube and everything, there's so much content. There's so many content creators, and people don't understand marketing, don't know how to get themselves out there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's the biggest thing. Cause it's like, there's kids that are probably 10 years old now with DSLR
features under their belt.
Yeah. Like, so like, I mean, cause even like you were saying, you dated yourself with like, you wish you would have had Windows Movie Maker. And it's like, well, it's like, I wish I would have had Premiere, you know, or something. Like, it's like, there's always that new wave coming in under that's like, has that technology available to them that future generations didn't have before. But now with how available it is, how far along it is, how affordable, you know, even like 4K cameras are now, it's just like, it's crazy, because now there's so many people doing it, and you have to be able to stand out. And how you stand out is not only your work and how like the quality of it and the uniqueness of it, but how do you market yourself and get yourself out there?
And I think you could do more with a brand than you can with your own branded name, which I mean, I have my own name, Alex Ferrari, which is kind of like a little brand within itself, but Indie Film Hustle is my main brand. And I could do things with Indie Film Hustle that I wouldn't really feel comfortable doing with Alex Ferrari. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you 100%. Do that all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's funny. I'll get questions. Like, I have a little mentorship group where like I have like filmmakers that come in and we talk about a bunch of stuff, and I help them. They can come on my sets and we do a bunch of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, you know, I always talk about is like, if you want to have like a personal Instagram, cool. But make then a separate one for your filmmaking stuff. Like, don't combine both. Like, cause especially now Instagram, I tell people this, it's like, it's your reel now. Like, it's your website, it's your portfolio. People can come straight to your Instagram. I've been booked off so many jobs just because of my Instagram. Like, when people come there, they can see like, oh, he's done this. Oh, this video is cool. His work's cool. I like what he's about, his work. Like, they can just see it. But then if throughout all that content and videos or behind the scenes or whatever I'm putting on there, I have like pictures of my dogs and this and that, like it kind of waters it down a little bit. So it's like, if you want to have your personal one, cool. But if you want to be also like a filmmaker or a brand or a business, like have another one too. You know, don't try and like find the balance between both. Like, you know, that's important. I think personally.
One thing I would also say, and this is just my opinion though, like on your business one, leave politics out, leave religion out, leave all of that stuff out, because look, there's a lot of things I would want to say about today's world, but it's just not on brand, and you got to be conscious of it.
Even with my personal, it's weird because my Jakob Owens one also is kind of, it's my personal account, but it's also now kind of like,
yeah, of course,
I have 100,000 followers on there, so I can't, there's certain things like I can't do or say, because just people will be like, people will just stop being fans of you instantly because of one little thing. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I was in Texas, and my uncle, like the majority of my family is from Texas, lives in Texas, Cowboys at heart.
Sure.
One of them's a big hunter, and he hunts for food, and like he doesn't big game hunt or anything like that. Like, he hunts, kills, eats, feeds like for his family. They last them all year and all this stuff. And he took us hunting. And it was I've never been hunting, and it was just a really cool experience. But he had video of me shooting a deer, which we ended up using like in the eating the meat and everything. Like it wasn't for fun sport. Like it was utilized. But not thinking about it, I put up the video on my Instagram story of me shooting the deer, and people went off on me. And like I was like, dang, like I can't have like. That was a moment I realized I can't have a normal life or share things I'm doing in my daily life anymore.
Nope.
Like people will just rail into you, and we're just like, I'm not a fan of you anymore. How could you get? And it was funny. I'm so responsive to like my community and people that follow me, and so I was sitting there just like calmly, like just responding back to people, and I was like, sorry you feel that way. I was like, but I just have a question. Like, have you ever eaten, a burger before?
Right.
And they'd be like, well, yeah. And I'm like, so you support the killing of animals for food then? Because, I mean, that animal is being slaughtered.
You just didn't see it.
Now you didn't see it, but you're still – and they're like – and a lot of people are like, oh, man, like I didn't think of it like that. Like, oh, thanks for taking the time to respond. Like, I'm still a fan. Like, all this. But it's crazy. Like, people will really just fly off the handle and rails and, like, over little. So
imagine that. And that was just off of, like, you go out shooting an act. Can you imagine if you got religious or political?
Right.
I mean, people, it's just insane. So for people listening, just if you are going to create a brand, even your own personal brand, I'm sure you know who Gary Vee is, right?
Yeah.
But Gary Vee said it very well. He's like, look, dude, I'm very opinionated about what's going on in today's world, and I cannot say a word about it because he goes, I just can't. It's not on brand. So you always have to think about what is your brand? What does your brand represent? Now, if your brand is politics or religion,
you could lose a lot of business by doing something like that.
Exactly.
You could have clients that you've worked with before, done lots of work, and if you post something to Facebook or Twitter that's like, if you're in support of Trump and they're strong against Trump, and
or
you
vice
say
versa, right?
Yeah, and whatever, they could be like, just like those people are like, I'm not fans of you anymore. You could have those people be like, we don't want to work with him anymore. And so you could lose a lot of business, and especially, depending on the industry you're in, like, but, it's just like, you gotta be careful, and keep that kind of stuff to yourself because you could lose a lot of business or potential business down the road. And you see all this stuff even now in Hollywood surfacing, like with like old viewpoints from 10 years ago. That
Kevin Hart.
That this actor said this, and 10 years later it comes up, and then they're dropped from this client or this or this. And
what happened with James Gunn on Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
I was in such an insane, like 10-year-old Twitter that he was trying to be funny,
right?
And he lost Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like,
that's nuts.
It's insane. It was insane.
So everyone out there. Yeah,
just keep it to yourself, guys. Be on brand. Do what you're doing, and that's that. Let's move on from there. So your YouTube. So you started your YouTube, man, but you've got what? Almost 1 million followers now.
Well, yeah. On YouTube, there's like 750,000 something.
That's a lot of followers, man, for a filmmaker. And how did you? Is there any tips? Well, first of all, when you started it, was it part of a larger marketing plan in your own mind, or did it just kind of organically happen?
Yeah, it just kind of organically happened. Like, I was doing music videos for like Futuristic, KID, who's now Kyle, and some other like artists, DY, Hoodie Allen, like in these artists. And it started just growing kind of a fan base for like music videos, independent artists, and then like filmmaking tips, behind the scenes videos. And it's kind of a culmination of both of those things. And it was never like my intention. Like I always saw it as a bigger picture, like I said, for me, how to like grow. Cause I remember I was in film school. This is a good story. I just thought about this. Okay. I was in film school, and it was my senior year, and I was in my directing class. And for our thesis, we could either make, our short film, thesis film, or the alternative, which was like the alternative and kind of looked down on, was do 3 music videos. I was like, shoot, I'm just going to turn in 3 music videos that I've been shooting, and they'll be like, there's my final.
Sure.
And, but so I was the only one in the class. There was probably like 20 to 25 of us. And you had to like follow over the course of 2 semesters, this outline, and you check back in class, and you would have your pre-production packet and all this stuff. And every time it would come to me, my professor in class, in front of everyone, would be like, and now we come to Jake, who we all know is not like, he would like call me out in class. And it was because a couple kids, I wasn't friends with too many people in there, but a few people, and they'd come up to me like, bro, we know what you're doing. Like, keep doing you. Like, don't worry about him. But
that's insane.
He called me into his office hours one time, and he told me straight to my face, he was like, I could fail you. And it was just like, basically, he said this too. He said, your music, I could send your music videos to 5 directors I know right now, and they would all say it sucks. And I just remember saying, said that, I promise you. And I remember sitting on the opposite side of the desk going, like, and this is right at the time I started getting a couple 100,000 views on like videos and stuff. Right. And I was like, I know I'm not where I'm at or could be, but I don't suck, and they don't suck. Otherwise, I kind of got a little bit of a too, like, good. As I wouldn't have hundreds of thousands of views on my YouTube channel. And he had this like moment of like, oh, what? Like, and then he got right back into his, shtick of whatever. And I need to follow his plan, or I'm never going to go anywhere with music videos. That's what he said. I would never go anywhere with music videos.
Because neither David Fincher, Michael Bay, Antoine Fuqua, Spike Jonze, none of those guys did any well.
None of those guys. And, yeah, so it's just like I continued doing my thing, and I was just like, this is kind of my way in. I see it working, because right at the time, Mac Miller was kind of he was really blowing up on YouTube, and Rex Arrow, who was doing his videos, was as well. And so I just saw the potential. I saw where it could go, and just kind of, ended up senior thesis turning in 3 music videos. He ended up apologizing to me on the spot there, and was just like, these turned out great. I want to say I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And now a couple years, later down the road, he was asking me if I would come back and speak to his directing class because I had moved out to LA. I'd been there probably 3 or 4 years, done a bunch of like really cool projects, and it took off kind of rather quickly once I moved to LA. And he was like, hey, do you mind coming back to speaking to my directing class at ASU? And now, like, I remember last year he messaged me a link to his new like film that he had just shot and asked me to watch it and give him feedback. I was like, no way. And I didn't respond. I didn't respond to his message. Facebook will tell you if you've seen the message or whatever. It's, my student's too good to respond back to me now, or my former student. And it was crazy. So it's a crazy story. So don't ever let people tell you can't or won't do something. If you got the determination and drive, like, you can make it happen. Because, like, what if I was like an impressionable kid and was like, oh yeah, maybe it does suck, and
right, and you're done.
Maybe these aren't any good, and but I knew, like, I was like, this is what I want to do. It doesn't suck. Like, I feel like I'm good. I see where it, like, I had that confidence and that drive, and so it didn't stop me. But I can only imagine, someone else having a different impact potentially, and so it's crazy that a student or a teacher would even say that to a student.
Well, first of all, that is a fantastic story. And the one thing I just want to mention is that you were part of the new generation, and you were figuring new ways out to do the same thing, if not better than the old generation. He was stuck in his dogmatic way of doing things. Right. I don't find you to be very dogmatic in the way you do things. You're going to be doing it your own way, how you want to do it. And that's how innovation happens. But people that are behind you are scared of change. And that's when that stuff happens. So like you said, if anyone does that to you, just listen, you listen, take it in, but filter it and keep doing what you're doing if you feel that it's what's going to help you. And you are a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and again, like, there's nothing else I would have rather been doing with my life. So it's like, for me, there was no other like option. It's not like, okay, well, now what am I gonna do? Like, it was just, to me, it was like no question. Like, I don't care if I fail. Like, this is what I'm gonna try. You know what I mean? So, So that was my college experience. Like,
did you ever go back? Did you ever watch this movie?
No. I watched the trailer. I ended up like Googling the trailer and watching that. I was like, nah, I'm cool.
Damn.
But it was like, in a nutshell, that was kind of my college film experience. Like, I had some other crazy stories in my like cinematography class as well that like pretty almost on par exactly with that story. And just like, it was a interesting.
It's like when I told people that I shot a feature film in Sundance. I went out there and just shot a whole movie at Sundance while it was going on. And I'm being stopped on the street from people I know in the business. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm shooting a movie. And they're like, and the confusion on their face was fascinating because all they saw was a little Blackmagic pocket camera. I shot the whole movie on a pocket camera because I wanted to be kind of low profile.
Low profile, yeah.
And it worked. It worked great. It premiered at Rain Dance. It was a big, huge, it's a nice experience, but they just couldn't grasp how someone could just go off and make a movie for like $3,000 or $4,000.
Right.
And that's the same thing that happened to you. Like people just couldn't figure out like you can make a living shooting music videos.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and then YouTube, like, cause I remember when I got my first, like, even like YouTube check, I think I was still
that must
in
have been
college.
exciting.
And I remember it was only like $200, but I was like, what? I was like, $200. Yeah. I was like, this is crazy. And like, then it just kept going from there and going. And ultimately like that became a huge, revenue stream for me and then would allow me to do other things that I wanted to do as well that like, hey, I want to go do this project. I have money to fund that or this but again, I feel like it stemmed from me never thinking about that. It was just I like to do it and I was doing what I wanted to do. And then that came along as a result. I feel like especially now like filmmaking is becoming like such a like cool, trendy, hip thing to do or people are kind of getting famous off of it or popular and making money or whatever. And so you have these people, I think, getting into it for the wrong reasons, not because they truly love it, but because they're looking for that, that fame on YouTube or that look on Instagram and I don't think that won't last. Eventually that's going to burn off and die. And why I think it worked for me is just I just truly love to do it. And I was never thinking like, oh, I want to be famous or I want to have a name or I want to make tons of money off of YouTube. I just made videos and put it out there because I freaking like to do it. And I was trying to get to a point in my career where I was established in making a career off this stuff. And everything came as a byproduct of just my love for it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, dude. Now, what advice would you give filmmakers wanting to grow their YouTube channel?
Man, it's tough now. It's tough. Again, it's because it's become so oversaturated and like the way YouTube is now, it doesn't pay out as much as it used to due to like just the ad
content thing
and apocalypse that they had and then everything. And so I mean, if you're getting millions of views on videos, like you're good and you're doing well. But other than that, I mean, I use YouTube now as a vehicle to one, keep information flowing out there. I genuinely like making like informational videos and putting that stuff out there. But it's also a good way to just keep my name out there, my brand out there, and promote certain things I have going on, or if I have a new project and do behind the scenes. Like I like sharing all that stuff and creating content just when I'm not working on a project. It's just something I like to do, and it's not like the moneymaker that it was for me back in the day, but I just like to do it. But if you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, I wouldn't bank on that being your end all be all. Like right. It should be a side hustle to what you're also trying to do. Like it should be it should work symbiotic into like you're putting out content to grow your name, grow your content, like get followers to your Instagram to book more jobs here, to work on like it should be, it should be where you host your work and you do some passion projects and stuff. But I wouldn't recommend it, at least in my opinion, to anyone as a filmmaker right now to necessarily like make it your career and all be all, because the chances are slimmer. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's definitely slimmer than what it used to be.
But isn't it, I'm assuming you've had a lot of people give you a lot of credit, or it creates more credibility for you and your brand when you can point to YouTube and go, yeah, I have almost, $750,000 of a million people who follow me on there. That right. adds a tremendous amount of value to you as a filmmaker, because now you have an audience that you bring, and that's what I'm
saying. And that's what I use it for now, is for the audience and the following and directing towards, that kind of name recognition or whatever. I don't do it for the money now. It's just to keep that, that name alive, that recognition, and have my following. So it's like, it's definitely having that following, and that recognition helps in certain instances. But if like someone's like literally like, I want to make my entire living off YouTube, I don't know if I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm going to say go for it. Like, do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
Just based off of, just what's been going on with YouTube. I don't know if it'd be the smartest, but I would never tell anyone like, nah, don't do it. Like, if you want to do it and you're passionate about it and you want to become a freaking YouTube star and have 1 million subscribers, go for it. Like, by all means.
Would you agree though, like in today's world, as of this recording, it still means something that if you as a filmmaker walk into a meeting and you have 1 million or 2 million followers,
it helps.
Even if you're looking for money for a project or anything like that, it just does help a lot. Not only with credibility, but just like I've got followers, so
right.
I'll be able to sell a product or at least get that film out there.
No, I've had people, in companies like projects I've worked on ask me to like do promotional stuff of the show, that we're shooting on, like put it on your like Instagram, your YouTube. Can you like put the trailer on there? Like they want that content. They want that to be seen by
the channel,
an audience and those people. So definitely, like if you have, more, you can use that to your advantage and like, use that your following and your numbers to, land you a job or get paid extra on a job. Like, I'll do. Pay me and I'll put it up there. I'll promote it.
Well, do you know what The Rock does, right? The Rock, in his deals, he gets like 20 million for the movie, but then he gets like 1.5 million to use his social media to promote the movie. Oh, there's a lot of stars, Kevin Hart, all those guys. It's part of the marketing plan now. So studios are paying the actors who have huge social media following. Huh? Just who are in the movie to promote their movie through their channels. Stars are actually charging for that now, which is good because it's a lot of work. It takes time and money to build that up.
That's I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Oh,
it makes sense for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that would be like the same thing as like a brand reaching out to me for to do a project for them, like create a piece of content, and then them being like, hey, we want this to post to your social media. I'm gonna be like, all right, well,
what's your marketing budget?
Yeah, what's your because no, it makes sense because you're being hired or paid to do this job, but this is
free.
My whole audience over here. This isn't your audience, like, so yeah, if you want to access that here, so that makes sense.
Yeah, either pick up my day rate or we're gonna have to talk about marketing budget.
Right.
Now, how should filmmakers handle their social media if they want to build that kind of either a brand or a personal brand?
Handle their social media in the sense of,
and just like how should they, because a lot of filmmakers have no idea how to post on it, what frequency to post on, what kind of content they're posting, because a lot of them just yell and announce stuff constantly. They're not providing value.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a guide on my online store that's how to grow your Instagram, like literally how to grow your Instagram, because I made it 2 or 3 years ago. I had 9,000 followers on Instagram. Yeah. And I remember it was at that moment, I was like, I have a solid little following. And I was like, but I want to like try and grow it. So I was like doing little things that I thought would help grow it. Next thing you know, I was at 50,000. Then I was at 65. And literally earlier this year, I think at the beginning of the year, I was at 65 or 70. And I made it like a goal at the beginning of the year. Like I want to hit 100,000 before the end of the year. And so I wrote down that goal, and then I was like, all right, what are the little things I can do that will get me to that goal? Because it's one thing to like set a goal, but then you got to have your plan of action of like how you're going to achieve that goal. Otherwise, it's just like a dream, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're like, oh, I want to hit 100,000 followers. That's a goal. No, that's a dream. Like you got to make it a goal by writing out your plan. And so I was just like, for me, it was at the beginning of the year, it was posting twice a day. Like I posted once in the morning and once at night. Now I typically just do once in the morning because it's a lot of work. It's not
easy.
It's not easy. It takes a lot of work and effort to do it. But I would post like twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. And I was always thinking, like, you want to share stuff that's interactive, right? Like, it could be as simple as posting something, then asking a question so that people will engage on it or tag their friends, or you could start a conversation and it shows up more in Instagram's algorithm because it's like, oh, this photo is getting a lot of interaction. People want to see it. So it pushes it. And so I was doing stuff like that. I was doing like giveaways that companies were sending me, gear, and then I would just give it out and have people tag their friends, and people would see my profile and be like, oh, he's got a cool profile. Like, I'm going to follow him. And then I was thinking up content that would be like cool that people would want to like share or tag their friends in, and just like that would be almost not, I hate to use the word viral, but like stuff that's viral-esque in a sense of people are going to share it or they're going to screenshot it and put it in their story and be like, laugh out loud, Jakob Owens, like, you know, and just basically get eyes on it. And I think one of the early ones I did, it was I like hated using gimbals, and I still do. I think they're kind of sterile and whatnot. Like if you're going to use this, I would rather use a Steadicam, you know, obviously, or go handheld. And one of the things I did was like I was in the gym working out, and I picked up a weight, and I was doing a shoulder exercise, and I like picked it up like this, and I was like, oh, it kind of looks like I'm using a gimbal right now. And I was thinking, all right, what could I do? And I was like, I made a little Instagram video with Rocky music, and it said gimbal training, you know, how you train to like, how filmmakers train to run a gimbal. And it was like me with this 45-pound weight holding it and doing these steps and then rotating around a foam roll. And I posted it knowing like I was trying to think creatively of like, okay, content that people would share or they would get retweeted or people would tag their friends in, and it just went stupid dumb on Instagram and Twitter. Like it hit a couple 100,000 views within under an hour. And then like
insane. Same
thing when I was on like this other music video set. I was doing this fish tank trick where I took a fish tank, and this is something I did years ago on a music video. But then all of a sudden it popped into my head like, oh, I should put this on Instagram. People are probably going to trip out. Like it'll be a good little piece. And so I put the fish tank in the water, had my red in the fish tank, and I was shooting this music video scene because there wasn't budget for the whole underwater spiel for a red and everything. And so I did this, I had my friend Corey literally film me like and kind of do this little zoom and stuff as we're doing a scene where I've got the fish tank in the pool and the camera in the, you know, under the water kind of shooting.
That's how you shot it through a fish tank. It's awesome.
Little fish tank hack, and I put it up on Instagram. I forget what I said, but it was something kind of clever that got people to like interact, but also it was just kind of a more shocking video, you know, something that's going to be like, whoa, hey, Timmy, did you see this? Like, we should try this, blah, blah, blah. And it did 1 million views on Instagram in that day. And like, I was just like, what? Like, and then so I made a YouTube video kind of capitalizing off that, like fish tank camera hack, and like just showing people how to, you know. And so just kind of thinking like content like that of how, rather than just like a picture of a street lamp that's like night vibes. You know, it's like that's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna do anything.
Night vibes.
Night vibes. I don't know. It's not gonna do anything to grow your Instagram or your following or get people to your page. So I was always kind of in the mindset of like, what's gonna get people to my page? What's gonna get other people to get people to my page, or like get people to share my photos or videos. And then Unsplash was another one. You said you found me on Unsplash.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I take a lot of photos too, but again, on brand wise, people don't want to just see like people follow me for more filmmaking stuff. They don't want to see a picture that I took of my girlfriend or like a cool Hawaii landscape. It's just not as much of what people are looking for. And so I was like, oh, I want a cool place to like share my stuff. And I found Unsplash, put it up on there. Just again, thinking as many ways as you can get your work out in front of different people, faces, places, and put it up on Unsplash. And a year later became the #1 most followed user on that. And my face was all over billboards, ads, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. And people were just like, I remember one of the first big ones I got was some dude DM me who followed me on Instagram. He's like, yo, bro, I'm here in a mall in South Africa. And he pans over and there's just a 20-foot ad of me on the side of a mall wall, just like me underwater with my camera, and it said live adventurously or something like that. And then I was in a B&H photo store for like an ad for like a hard drive. It had me with my camera that they pulled off Unsplash. And so my face started getting out there that way. But that started with me thinking like, okay, what are all the different ways I can, you know, get my stuff out there and in front of people? And so, yeah, you just got to be proactive about it and just like, it's work. I mean,
it's working very well. I mean, because a lot of people would have been afraid of putting their face on something like Unsplash because you don't know what you're going to be used for and this and that.
I've been used. So there's this picture of me and my brother in Hawaii. My brother's on my shoulders. We were hiking back to a waterfall, and we're both shirtless, but I got him on there, and the waterfall's off in the distance. And it was used on an ad for an article. It was some article on Google or on Facebook that popped up. My sister sent it to me and said, "How to know if your best friend's gay or not," or whatever. And it was a picture. It was a picture of me and my brother or something like that. And I just remember it started making its rounds, and I had all my friends and family on like texting me this picture, like, "Hey, saw this ad on Facebook. Like, what is this?" Like, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." But,
so it backfires every once in a blue moon, but you get a lot more positive.
Every once in a while, there's some random thing that pops up. But no, it's been cool. I mean, I've had ads, billboards, different things all over the place. Just from different countries to here in the U.S. to just online. But
Yes.
and the question I get all the time is like, "Bro, why do you let that stuff go for free?" Or why would you do that? And it just goes back to eventually it's going to lead to something, because one, I just wanted my work to get out there, and it was getting out there more. But a lot of people started discovering me because of Unsplash. And like you said, you found me there. I had other ShareGrid.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah, I know Brent and those guys. Of course,
they were populating their website with all my photos because I had all these gear photos on there.
Sure.
And so then I had a Skype call with them. We became friends.
Yeah,
and we worked
awesome.
on several projects together, and they paid me for a bunch of different content pieces we've done and co-collaborated on a bunch of stuff. But that led because I just put up stuff for free on my Unsplash. And then I got this one company in China wanted to use one of my shark photos of this photo that I took of shark for their some big campaign they were doing. They paid me, even though you don't have to get paid through Unsplash, all the photos are free to use. They just were like, "Hey, we want to pay you for this photo." They paid me $500 just to use a single photo for a little campaign ad. So it's like, you never know where it could go. And I wasn't afraid of letting some photos go for free or, letting it get out there. But I grew a lot of people that follow me on Instagram now. I would say probably 25% of them probably found me through Unsplash. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you just never know where something can go. And the day that Unsplash does maybe monetize or somehow monetizes their stuff, I'm the number one most followed user. There's going to be a way for me to capitalize on that. So you just never know. And so I'm always been one to, not scoff at I'm not putting up my stuff there. People can use it for free. So
you're not, you don't let the ego get too much in the way when it comes to that stuff.
No.
That's awesome, dude. And now let me ask you, because you've been approached probably by a lot of companies, a lot of opportunities. What's the craziest thing you've been asked to either pitch or be a part of? And you're just like, what the God hell? You don't have to use their name, but just if it's just a cool story. I always love asking these kind of questions.
I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been nothing's popping in my mind right now. I mean, the majority has always been pretty
on brand, and it makes sense.
On brand, it's usually some type of camera gear company or something reaching out to me. God,
well, with the gay ad with your brother, I think that
that's probably the biggest wildest thing that's come across the desk. I've had beard companies reach out to me hey, we have this new beard gel. We want you to market and promo and become the face of, or make a YouTube video. I'm like, no, I'm not.
You're not a celebrity.
But it's not. I'm not out here just beard all I just don't. It's not my brand. It's part of me and part of my brand, but it's not. I'm not over here.
For everybody, everyone listening. To everyone listening, Jacob has a gnarly beard. It's super, and it's short now. It's a little shorter than usual.
Yeah, I trimmed it up a little bit.
Yeah, because normally it's really, and all those photos it's really long. So I completely understand why a beard company would come to you. It just makes perfect sense.
That's maybe the most, I guess. That's the only thing that pops in my mind.
But that's also,
now.
But like you said, you understand enough that that's not part of the brand.
Right.
And you're being true to the brand, as opposed to, because if your followers, they follow you for filmmaking, it's dude's talking beard cream.
Yeah. No, that's exactly, I could have taken whatever they wanted to pay me, and then all of a sudden I'm on my Instagram try out my new beard cream, get it 50%.
the BuffNerd beard cream, right?
Yeah, it's it just wouldn't have it would have made sense a little bit, but at the same time, it's no, people aren't following me because of my beard. They're following me because of filmmaking. And so just recognizing, kind of going back to that, recognizing, your brand, your lane, and focusing on that.
Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions I ask all of my guests. What advice would you give a filmmaker trying to break into the business today?
just work on something every single day and like reach out and connect with people. Like that's the biggest thing. Like all my biggest, coolest jobs have just come from knowing the right person, or like, you know, or even vice versa, me bringing people onto projects that were cool projects. It's because I knew them. Like when I get a project, first thing I do is think of like, oh, my homie who's the DP who I always use, yeah, I'll bring him. Like, who else do I know? I'm not out there scouring like, oh, who can I bring on this project? It's people I know. Mm-hmm. And so like, it's just, you know, connecting and networking with people, I think is probably the number one most important thing. But then, yeah, working on your craft every day. When I was in college, I just told a story the other day. When I was in college, I would sit in my dorm room and go, okay, what can I work on today? And I was like, I kind of want to work on like coloring. So I would go out and shoot like as much like videos of like flowers and nature and try and go back and then color the footage in like the most like nature, natural, beautiful way. And then I would like, all right, I really want to work on like a trippy editing sequence. Like I need to be better at that. And so I'd set my camera on a tripod in my dorm and like film myself like freaking out on the bed and like grabbing my head. And I would sit there and mess with the footage and try and like figure out how I could do like cool flashes and blurs into the next thing. And like I was just always working on something. If I wasn't like actually on a job or working something, I was just sitting there always trying to think of like, what could I do today that would like, you know,
take you to the next level.
Yeah, practice. I mean, it's like with anything, with a sport, you know, you're going to practice to get better. Same thing with like filmmaking, you know, or if you're a writer, you write every day or try and write as much as you can. Like the only way you're going to get better is if you consistently do it and you work on the skill. So those are probably the two biggest things, I think.
Good advice. Now, what lesson took you the longest to learn, whether in the film business or in life?
Just to not take criticism so hard. Like, because early on, I would like, when someone be like, yo, this sucks, I'd be like, no, it doesn't. It's great. Like,
I did the same thing.
Like, so that's just, no matter who you are, you could be Drake. Drake has haters. But he's got the biggest records and numbers of all time. Eminem, same thing. There's always going to be people that have an opinion and don't like what you put out. You know what I mean? Or create. So you can't like, early on when I was like, you know, first uploading these videos, if I'd get a comment like that, it would just bug the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in college, I'd be like, no, it doesn't suck. Like, you just don't know anything. You know what I mean? And so that was like, it took me a while to like, kind of like get over that and not take it so seriously and realize like, look, it doesn't matter. You could have the most masterpiece cinematic. Someone's going to say something they don't like about it because no one likes the exact same stuff. You know what I mean? And
have you ever seen Shawshank Redemption?
No, I have not.
You're killing me, dude. You're absolutely killing me, dude. You're absolutely killing me.
It's funny. I tell people this a lot. I don't watch a lot of content like out there. Like I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos. I try and stay. I mean, I watch stuff for sure.
Did you see Star Wars?
I did.
Okay, good. All right. So I'll use Star Wars as my reference.
Okay.
Star Wars, one of the greatest films of all time. George Lucas was walking around on set of Phantom Menace with a T-shirt of the bad review from like the New York Times.
Really?
Ripping apart Star Wars. So there's always a hater somewhere. It makes you feel, anytime, I always use Shawshank Redemption. Like if someone really comes down on me, I just Google bad review Shawshank Redemption, which is arguably one of the greatest films of all time. And it's just like, and there's always a dude that's just like, this was horrible. This like,
right.
Yeah. Don't take it so seriously.
So yeah, just don't take it so seriously and personal. And a lot of the time it's just people, you know, whether they truly mean it or not, they could be just completely trolling you and actually like it. You know what I mean? They're sitting behind a computer and they could be like, oh, this is tight. This video freaking sucks. You know what I mean? You just, yeah.
All right, now I'm going to give you the toughest question of the entire interview.
All right.
3 of your favorite films of all time.
Ooh, Inception pops in my head first off.
Okay.
Signs. And The Strangers.
Which one's the last one?
The Strangers.
Oh yeah.
Just because what I liked about that one so much is I feel like they did something a lot of horror, or I guess thriller, horror films didn't really do, which is the absence of like sound and music. Like they just use silence so well. Like I just remember one of the scenes where she's standing in the kitchen and it's a wide shot and it's just the normal ambience. There's no music telling you something's coming or building you, oh, I should be scared. And he just walks into the shadows off in the background, and you barely see his face, like the mask in the shadow. And I just remember going, oh shit, like that was, whoa. And it's just silent. There's nothing. And I just remember so many times through the movie, obviously there are jump scares and stuff, but just that kind of moments, because I like horror films. Those are like, that's my favorite like genre, and I would love to do some horror films one day, but that's what I like. And so that film always stood out. Signs was like the first movie that like I saw that I really wanted to like, I want to do this. Like I remember being a kid and watching it. We had little headrests or TVs in the headrests of our car. Yeah. And we went on a trip to Disneyland, and me and my best friend, we were back there and we popped in Signs. I just remember being so scared and watching this movie and loved it. But then I saw there was a behind the scenes section on the DVD, and it was M. Night talking about his first homemade monster movie. He put a mask on an RC car, and he was driving the RC car around. That was the monster. And I related to it because I was like, I made a monster movie with my brother. And so that one just always stuck out to me, and I loved it. And then Inception, I just remember walking out of that movie going, how did someone write this? Like, I was like trying to pee. I was just like, oh, my head hurts. And I was like, I just remember like how, and it was just so well done. I don't know.
It's a good flick.
Yeah. So those are three that stand out to me for those reasons.
And now this list might be long, but where can people find you?
No, it's pretty simple. I mean, just the main things, Instagram is at Jakob Owens, and Jacob is with a K. So it's a little different. It's not Jacob, just at Jakob Owens on Instagram, at Jakob Owens on Twitter, but there's an extra S on the end. So there's two S's. And then, my website, I guess,
BuffNerds.
My main thing is, YouTube, BuffNerds. The BuffNerds, if you want to get technical, the YouTube is the BuffNerds. So those are kind of the three that I'm definitely like, I don't really do Facebook like that. I'm pretty much just Instagram, a little bit of Twitter, and YouTube heavy. Shoot, I've dropped a video every day for the last 6 days on there. So
Jesus.
I'm always just doing stuff on there.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Jacob, dude, I want to thank you so much, man. You've dropped an amazing amount of knowledge bombs on the tribe today, brother. So I really appreciate you, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, no, it's been fun.
Thank you again, Jacob, for coming on the show and dropping some major knowledge bombs on the tribe today. I recommend you go and check out all of the things that Jacob has to offer. His YouTube channel is amazing, has a lot of great content on there. Can really help you guys out, especially if you're into music videos and want to build up your own production company, build up your social media following. He has quick videos and tutorials and things like that he can help you out with. So I'm going to put links to everything he has to offer, which is quite a lot, in the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com/301. And we also have Jacob on IFH TV. I was able to grab some amazing content that he's been able to put on IFH TV for you guys, the tribe, the members of Indie Film Hustle TV. So definitely check him out, and I put links to that in the show notes as well. Also, guys, on a side note, I was kind of inundated by emails and messages and all sorts of stuff about episode number 300, about fear and how it touched you guys and brought some of you guys to tears while you were listening to it. And I really, it makes me feel really good that that kind of content is connecting with you guys. And I will continue to do more content like that, possibly even this week. We'll see what tickles my fancy. But I've got so many. I can't even tell you how many great episodes I've got coming up in the coming weeks and months. I have so many in the can, literally just waiting to be released. But sadly, I only release 2 episodes a week because I am a human being. In addition to the Bulletproof Screenplay, so 3 episodes a week I'm on right now. So I can't do any more, but I got a lot of great stuff. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you guys head over to indiefilmhustle.com/YouTube, you can check out the video podcast. I am now publishing the video podcast versions of the show on YouTube. So if you want to check out live interviews of the podcast, please check them out. I don't release them at the same time. They might be scattered a little bit. I'm going to probably do Jacob's next week, but you can definitely check out all that good stuff. And if you just want to see me talk to our guests and interact, it's a really cool experience. So definitely check that out. And lastly, guys, my book, Shooting for the Mob, is going to be released March 8th. The publisher is trying to catch up with the orders, and we will have it out March 8th. But you can definitely pre-order at indiefilmhustle.com/mob if you want to check out my book, Shooting for the Mob. If you don't know what it's about, just check it out. Just go to the URL. You'll know what it's about if you haven't been listening to the podcast. But I can't wait for that book to get out. And I will let you guys know also about my signing tours, seminars, workshops I'm going to be doing around the country as well over the course of this year. There's a lot of cool stuff coming from Indie Film Hustle. And for me this year, I'm planning to take Indie Film Hustle to a whole other level this year. So thank you guys so much for all the support. I can't do it without you and the tribe. I just can't. So thank you again. And please share this information. Please, tweet it, retweet it, tell people about it. Talk to your friends about it. Just really get the word out on what we're doing here at Indie Film Hustle, because I really, really want to get this information out there to help as many people as humanly possible. Thanks again for listening, guys. I hope you got some value out of today's episode. And as always, keep that hustle going, keep that dream and spark alive. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.